Welcome to the Cat Conversation. I'm KJ, the kitty correspondent, and your guide to building a deeper bond with your cat. I connect you to the experts, the stories, and the little aha moments that help you truly understand your feline friend. Let's do this. Let's have the Cat Conversation. Hello, my super cat hero. Thanks so much for being here with me. It is another edition of the Cat Conversation, and I'm really excited today to talk about something I've been telling you, cats can be trained in rethinking, or, maybe even you're new to having your cat. We're always talking about, like, how can we have a better life with our cat? And a key to that really is to rethink how you have your cat, to think about the fact that you can train your cat. And if you are not buying it, well, guess what? I brought in reinforcements, because joining me today is GeraLynn Cada. And not only is she a dog trainer, but she has worked with cats for over 30 years, more than 250 feline students under her belt. And she's actually been working with cats since she was 9. And we're going to talk about the fact that she has worked with Siegfried and Roy. Let's bring her in. Welcome to the show, GeraLynn. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me, KJ. This is fun. Let's have a very good time.
Exactly. That is always my goal. I'm very upfront with everybody here that tunes in for the Cat Conversation that we are going to entertain you into being a super cat parent. So what I really am excited about is that you have had a lifetime with pets, and you have a great expertise when it comes to dogs. But I wanted to start off with something you told me before we started recording, which is part of the reason that you were able to help people with cats is because they would call on you. You'd come over to help them with their dogs, and they'd be like, oh yeah, and we have a cat too. And you started teaching them, hey, you can train dogs and you can also train cats, right?
Right. So the cat's out of the bag. Cats and dogs can get along. They don't have to be on separate levels, and you just have to not let them eat each other's food, or let the dogs eat the Tootsie Rolls out of the litter box.
And that's it. That's it. And then they can live together. But we do have a lot of questions. I have a household of 7 cats, but I grew up with dogs and cats, and it never dawned on me. I don't know, maybe we were lucky our cats and dogs just got along. But when we talk specifically about the cat-dog relationship, are there things that, let's say someone is watching right now and they're like, I'm so glad you're here, GeraLynn. I got this cat doing this, I got this dog doing this, and I don't know what to do. Like those basics, let's start with this.
Correct. And that's happened to me so many times, I can't even count how many times I would walk in and say, well, you just hired me to train your dog, but you've got cats in the house too. And they're like, oh yeah, well, we thought they're just on their own over there. And we just keep them on separate floors, and we have gates to keep them apart. And I'm like, why? Like, you don't have to do that. And so introducing them to the fact that cats and dogs can get along, some won't. Some might have a genetic propensity or a genetic disorder. You just don't know until you know. So I'd walk in the door and I'd be like, hey, let's separate their food, give them their separate spaces, but let's have a common ground for them to start getting along. And let's do some training with both of them so that you can separately, so you can learn to communicate with them. Because if you can't communicate with them, they're just like, whatever, go away. You don't know my language and you're wasting my time. Right? And I need to go over here and lay in the sun and see you later. So that's really the basis for it, is understanding how to lay out the ground rules. Just lay out the floor plan for them. So because they both do need their own space, but they can have a common ground, they can come together. And I grew up with cats and dogs together. So I had Yorkshire Terriers, Great Danes, Dobermans, and Siamese and farm cats all together, getting along and understanding each other because we gave them that space. And I thank my mom and my dad's love of animals for that, because they are their second love is not their children. Their second love was furry animals. I mean, we were pretty furry, but they were furry. So.
You brought up something right there that I love to talk about, and I think it's becoming more the conversation among the pet community is understanding the language. And I don't know why we just assumed like I can bring a dog into the house or a cat into the house and we'll just figure it out. And then when things aren't going well, you end up with guilt and shame, and I'm not doing this right. And it's like, well, you didn't know.
Right. And I'd like to address what you just said, KJ, because it is monumental. When you feel guilt and shame, that doesn't portray itself to your pets as guilt and shame. That portrays as fear. And your animals can smell fear. So the second they smell that guilt and shame, they go, oh, I got to protect that human. I got to take over now. And that's when they start dominating the lifestyle in the house. And they start peeing on things and they start chewing things they shouldn't. And then they go wandering. Instead of feeling safe, they go exploring so that they can protect. And that's the last thing you want them to do. And I'll give you a couple of reasons why. One, they destroy your house. Two, their life is shortened because of number three, which is the disease process that starts because they don't feel like they can protect you 100%. So if you wonder why your cats and dogs are chewing up your wallet at the vet's office, it's because you're not taking back your power and helping them understand they're safe and you're protecting them. And it's your body language, it's your attitude, the way you smell, it's the way that you're handling your daily schedule. And most importantly, it's because you don't feel confident in what you're doing. And because you don't feel confident and you're not communicating, then all bets are off for you having any kind of control over your household.
Be honest here, GeraLynn. How much of what you do is training the dogs or the cats, and how much of it is training us humans?
It's all humans because they're responding to us. And if you're giving off the wrong signals and you smell like a big ball of stress, you're not training anybody. You're not handling anything properly. You're the problem. Your animals aren't the problem. They're just responding. So if you expect your animals to respond better without giving them the proper signals and the proper direction, then you might as well go find another home for your animals, because you will drive yourself crazy and them, and then their life is shortened. And what kind of a life are you guys living? You're not living a joyful, happy, productive life. You're living in your own little hell that you create.
And haven't you? I do think it's changing, but because you've been doing this for so long, I want to know if you're feeling it too. I think we have a ways to go, but when we as humans decided, like, oh, this cat thing might be cool to bring in the house, we didn't realize how much we were actually asking of them and constricting their lifestyle, right? Like, how do you go about explaining to someone that you're working with that, like, very basic, like, let's talk about your cat and its actual needs and how you're going to meet them, because now you have a cat, so you have to.
Well, you bring up a great point, KJ. We took their jobs away when we brought them in the house. We took away their mousing or their chasing vermin off the farm. We took all their jobs away, and we didn't replace it with another job. So the dog is looking and the cat is looking for a purpose every day. They dog or cat, it doesn't matter. They have a purpose every day, whether that's to hunt, play, eat, sleep, or whatever that cat's purpose is. Some are just to lounge and be groomed. I mean, let's just be real. And so if you don't replace their purpose in the home with what they used to do outside, then you are not doing your duty as a pet parent or a pet guardian or a pet owner, or whatever nomenclature you use to describe yourself as the person who is caretaking and directing and leading that home. So if you aren't replacing it, if you aren't giving the cat something to hunt and something to chew and the dog something to hunt and something to chew, then or work for their meal, then you're really doing a disservice to the animal. You are. And you're doing a disservice to yourself because you're not taking the time to communicate and understand what the needs are. And so that kind of sets you up for being, there's no excuses when your cat pees on your pillow or when your dog chews up your pillow. I mean, that's on you.
Yeah. And they're not, understanding, like they're not petty. There's not this revenge. There's some sort of safety issue. There's some sort of communication issue going on. And it does feel, I mean, I remember when I was going through that process and I actually wrote about in my book where I was having a communication issue with my cat who I thought hated me. And she actually, you talk about that purpose, she was protecting me. She didn't want me petting her because she was sitting at the end of the bed watching the door, keeping me safe. And I'm like, why won't you let me pet you at night? You're so rude. Every time I touch you, you leave. And she was like, dude, I'm trying to keep you safe. It's fascinating when you open yourself up to, I wonder what they're trying to say. It changes immediately. Like you said, the energy and the bond that you can have when you go from frustrated and they must be getting some revenge to, oh my gosh, this poor thing loves me and he's trying to tell me something and I need to listen, right?
You brought up a great word, KJ, revenge. Dogs don't have revenge and cats don't have revenge in their vocabulary. It's not there. So there have been too many times, sadly, that I've walked into someone's home to train their pets, and they're paying me top dollar for this. They were very wise to hire me to try to fix the issue. And the first thing I would have to fix is their perspective. I have to reframe the lens they look through at their animal. They thought their animal was out to get them. They thought they were, well, why are you chewing up my shoes? They just felt they put too much human emotion or human response onto the pet's, the way the pet was reacting. And they didn't get it. So when I would reframe and shift their perspective and they'd see exactly what that pet was thinking, they'd say, oh my God. And they would just, it was, and some would cry. I always carried a box of tissues with me because somebody was going to break out in tears going, oh my God, I can't believe I thought that was the way it was. And they felt terrible. And I would say, don't feel terrible. You know now. Stop. You're flooding yourself with cortisol. Stop, because that's just going to perpetuate the protectiveness of your pet. So let's just stop, reset. Let's go for a walk. Let's run up and down the stairs. Let's splash some cold water on our face. And let's stop thinking in that direction 100%. And then everything would shift and they'd say, what did you do? Like, how everything changed on a dime today? And I'm like, well, that's why I'm here. That's why the universe brought me here, to help create a better scenario for you, because the scenario you were in was looping and it wasn't going to change until we broke the cycle.
So you're talking about, how you go into homes, how you work with people. If there's someone that's watching right now, I know at this point that there's, this like, oh my gosh, like, how do I talk to GeraLynn about my pets? What is the best way to work with you or learn from you if you have resources online for someone that maybe, can't get you in person?
So fortunately, I have 6 pro tip videos I've filmed, and they're all free. They'll be released later this summer. My new website just launched about a week ago. I do have some resources on there already, some articles, some videos, some TV segments I've done with different products to help different scenarios. And then on top of that, I will have some videos that you'll be able to access. I'm not sure of the date yet, but I'll let you guys know soon. You can also go back on my social media and you can go through videos I've posted for different scenarios. Some are fun, some are very information based. And so if you jump in that way, that's great. If you're really having a hard time, my email and my phone number are all over the internet. So if you call or if you text, and you need serious help, I'll always reach back out to you and be able to set something up. I've been training online longer than Zoom's been around. So I've trained dogs and cats in other countries. I've traveled to other countries to transport or to train pets. So I've worked with people from all over the place. A really unique situation when I was living in Las Vegas, I received a direct message on Facebook. This lady from the East Coast said, I need help with my dog. I just happen to be flying to Las Vegas next week. I know you live there. I don't anymore, but I know you live there. And can I fly with my dog and will you meet me? And so I met her 4 times that week. I helped shift the dynamic for her dog. Her dog was wonderful and she lived a happy life with him. And unfortunately he passed away recently, but for 14 years, she was able to enjoy the perfect pet life. And it was perfect for her. She was so receptive to everything that I had to offer for her. And we met at a hotel. It was hilarious.
So you brought up Vegas, so we have to talk about GeraLynn, because we love big cats. I think if we're cat people, you have to love big cats because your little cat is 96% still a big cat. It's just form, right?
Yes. Yeah, a big cat and a little body.
Yeah. So how on earth did you end up with Siegfried and Roy?
It's the craziest story. I took one of my dogs into a veterinarian that I had found out was wonderful for what was going on with my dogs. They were sensitive. They were allergic to sweet potatoes, allergic to salmon. What dog is allergic to sweet potatoes and salmon? Because that's in so many foods. So I took my dog Chip Shot in to see this veterinarian, and he happened to be Siegfried and Roy's veterinarian. I didn't know that. No one knew that. And he loved my dogs. He loved me. He was a really great vet. And the next thing I knew, I got a phone call from this really beautiful lady. She said, I need help with my dog. Would you please come help me? I said, sure. So I set up a package of training sessions with her. And on about the 3rd or 4th training session, after we had fixed all of her dog's issues, I walked in the door and there was a stuffed white tiger on the floor. And she said, I know you don't know this, but I am Siegfried and Roy's physical therapist, and they want you to come train their dogs. You've done such an amazing job with mine. And I was like, what? Is this a prank? Am I being punked here? And the next thing I know, I'm sitting at Siegfried and Roy's house, talking with Roy, working out a dog. They had 7 dogs at the time. And They said, they're being too protective. We don't know how to handle them. Could you help us? And I said, sure. So for the next year, I was over there every week working with all 7 dogs, all of their employees, and helping their dogs become a little more settled and more confident. That was a traumatic experience that Siegfried and Roy had gone through with that episode. And I'll tell you more details about that at another time. However, the one significant thing was they had one dog that was biting people that would come over. So I had to work on the biting mechanism and why and change that dynamic. And the other thing was they were getting ready to leave for Germany and one of their dogs was pregnant and they didn't even know. And I said, that dog's going to have puppies in about 11 days. And they were leaving in 7 days, but they had help. So they had people there to help with the whelping, all that. It was perfect. But I said, I think she might be due in like 6 days. And 6 days later, she had a beautiful litter of puppies.
Wow.
And they were really cute. And it was so sweet to watch the whole dynamic. They came back from their trip and of course helped all the puppies and they gave them to friends. And it was really cute. But I'm like, if we really want to help this puppy, let's go ahead and after she has this litter, let's go ahead and spay her. Yeah. So we did. But the puppies were cute and they didn't even realize she was pregnant.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's insane. And you're like, and we're leaving, and there's going to be babies. Did you end up? Everybody's going to be like, KJ, why didn't you ask this? Did you end up around any of the big cats?
I got to meet the cats. They taught me how they train the cats. I met the people who train the cats. It was amazing. And those cats were wonderful. And the cat did not attack Roy. That was a protective move. It was not an attack. That's why that cat lived out its destiny. So this is a normal. They're white, so they know that they're vulnerable, and they're not aggressive. White animals know they cannot be camouflaged. Their immune systems are usually a little bit lower. Either it's genetic or it's stress, because they know they're white. They know they can't blend into the background, so they feel like they're prey every day. All white animals do.
Listen, everybody that knows me knows my cat Johnny Storm. He's a flame point. He's mostly white. Like, you're saying this, and I'm like, I have never thought about that. Like, he is so afraid of. His name is Johnny Storm, and he is the most afraid of storms of like any of my cats. But that. I'm just like hitting
makes
on
sense,
that.
doesn't
Makes
it?
so much sense. Yes.
It clicks. I usually do not utilize white animals as service animals. When I train a service animal, I typically won't choose a white one. I have in the past, and I've had some success with it, but I also remember they know they're vulnerable, and you don't want a dog who feels so vulnerable to be in charge of a medical alert dog or even a therapy dog. Oh, there's nothing wrong with some little white fluffy dogs being a therapy dog or an emotional support animal. However, white dogs do come with challenges, and white tigers come with challenges. White anything comes with challenges.
That's fascinating. You're blowing my mind right now. That is amazing. Okay. I always make sure that we make time on this show for you to, brag a little bit, tell a quirky cat tale, something that's funny or something that warms your heart, a moment in your life when you think about a cat that has touched your heart that still makes you smile.
There are too many, but I'm going to share a personal story just because this was a monumental one for me. I had been around cats my whole life, and I'm 20. I'm in college, and unfortunately I signed a lease while I was in college at an apartment where they wouldn't allow me to have dogs. So my last dog had tragically passed away at that moment, and I moved into this apartment, and my mother gave me a cat, one of the farm cats. She says, "Here, you can't have a dog, have a cat." So I had an orange tabby. His name was Thomas Hart Benton. He was a blast. And I took him in to have him neutered because he was never going to have babies. And I just didn't want him feeling aggressive or territorial. And so I took him in to have him neutered. While he was on the operating table, I got this phone call, and I was in class, and I stepped out of class and I answered the phone, and I said, "What?" And they said, "We accidentally started declawing your cat before we realized it was the wrong file." So but we've only done one paw, and I was mortified, right? Wouldn't you be mortified? So I said, "Stop." They go, "Do you want us to do the other one?" I said, "No, he's a farm cat. He needs his claws. I'm not against declawing, but I choose not to. It's not in my vocabulary. I would never do that to any of my cats. I discourage people from doing it. I'm always going to discourage people from doing it, because there are other ways." So I'm crying. I'm mortified. They packed his little paw with paper. I went to pick him up later. I brought him home, and I had a cat tree for him, kind of like a cat condo, goes up the wall. Mm-hmm. And the first day he felt good. He went crawling up the cat condo, and he put his paw in that had claws, and he got a good hold. And then he did the other one, and he was like this. Oh. And he turned and he looked at me like, "What have you done to me?" I had to go pick it. I pulled him off, and I said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't do this. It was an accident." Oh. And he loved nectarines. So I went and I got him a nectarine, and I chopped it up and I fed it to him, and he never skipped a beat after that. He learned how to really use his back claws more. He adapted to having that one paw without claws. And It was probably one of the hardest, craziest moments of my entire training career was, how do you handle this? This is something that doesn't happen and shouldn't happen. Of course, they didn't charge me for it, and they were hoping I wouldn't sue them over it, but it was just devastating. But nectarines always helped. He loved them. So I always made sure he got his weekly nectarine.
That's so funny.
He lived to be 23.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so GeraLynn, I want to. We always try with these, with these episodes, and those of you who spent this time with us today, to give some like, here's what you can do right now. And when we've been talking, you've been giving so many great examples of resilience and training and how you can do things different with your cat. If someone is thinking right now, okay, maybe I'll try this. Maybe I will try to train my cat. What are, some tips? And like, this is the beginner. Here's a thing you can start doing right now that's going to help you level up in training your cat.
Great suggestion, KJ. One of the first almost mainstays for me to dive into immediately when somebody asks me this question is set a few minutes aside, even 10, 15, whatever you have time for, and be sort of consistent with the time zone. So if it's from 6 to 8 in the morning, or if it's 10 to 11 in the morning, it doesn't matter, because cats don't have a watch or an iPhone, so they don't really know what time it is. They look at the sun mostly and shadows. So spend that time and make sure you nourish yourself in front of your pets first. So eat a little bit of food in front of your pets so they see you nourish yourself. Animals in the wild, the alpha or the head or the strongest protector in the family eats first. So if you eat a little bit in front of them and then use their food to train them, even something little for 10 minutes after they see you nourish yourself, you will see a dynamic change within 3 weeks. I can almost guarantee it, that it's you're gonna go, ooh, wow, that attitude changed. And it's because they're seeing you nourish yourself. They know that if you don't eat, you will die, or you can't be strong enough to fight off the lions or the tigers, the bears. Oh my. So if you don't nourish yourself first in front of your pets, they think they're being set up to protect you. It's innate, it's instinctual. And wow. I can, like I said, if you don't make that tiny little itty bitty, takes you no time at all, that little change, and you need the nourishment too. So for everybody out there that's starving themselves or living on coffee, good luck to you, because your brain's not going to work. Your body's going to give off the wrong smell. So if you can just make that little change and just do it even just once a day, you'll notice a change in 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow. That's amazing. And like, who doesn't want to walk away from this episode today and be like, well, GeraLynn said I need to eat in front of my cat. So I'm going to have a snack.
Yes. And it can be anything, a cracker. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be a full meal. I prefer it to be a full meal because you need that full meal. But at the very least, if you're drinking a smoothie or anything, just put some nutrition in your body in front of them. And then you'll smell proper. You'll smell like the leader and protector they need you to be.
One more question in terms of sort of the emergency situation for people who, and this goes the same for dogs too, but sometimes we don't understand, but a cat will, be triggered into aggressive behavior. And I'm sure you get those calls, right? My cat is biting me. My cat all of a sudden is attacking the other cat. And we know from the conversation that we've had, they're not feeling safe. What are your recommendations in terms of that immediate, until I can get to GeraLynn, until I can get to a vet, until I can get the help I need? What am I doing with that cat that's not making me feel sick?
If your cat's acting up, especially with another cat or a dog, I will separate them. I will give them their own space so that they can relax, because there is something going on. It could be a disease process. So yes, your vet needs to go. You need to get straight to your vet to find out if there's a disease process first. You can't fix an underlying disease process without proper medical attention, proper medication, proper something. And then secondly, what are they eating? Are they allergic to something? Is there something in their diet that's disrupting their system? It could be something, like I said, my dog was allergic to sweet potato and I couldn't figure out why he was getting hot spots all the time. And it was sweet potatoes. Like, I think it's 0.01% of dogs are allergic to sweet potatoes, but I had that one special one. So it could be something they're eating or something they're doing. It could be something as simple as they're scared of shadows. They're scared of the stairs. They're scared of something that's not allowing them to feel safe. So they're becoming hyper vigilant to be protective. And once you can find out what that underlying thing is, it could be a very simple thing. Once you are able to remove that from the equation, you can see a whole different ball game. Dogs need vitamins too. They used to get them from the bones and the skin and the things that they ate out in the wild. And we've removed all that from their diet. And then you go give them this dry, old, burned up food that has no nutritional value. And we wonder why their brains aren't functioning properly. And if you can't give them what they need, then you need to find somebody that will, or someone that will help you know what that is. So you can love your pets to death by giving them the wrong things. And I mean, literally love them to death. They will die. They'll shorten their life. They'll have cancer. They'll get some kind of kidney disease. A lot of them will get bladder infections from stress because their immune system has dropped so quickly. And you could do something as simple as parsley water. Blanch some parsley, cool down the water, put it in an ice cube tray, and give them a little bit of parsley water every day for a couple weeks, and their kidneys and their bladder are better. So
oh my gosh.
There's things just as simple as that you can do that don't cost you any money, don't take very much time, and can make all the difference in the world.
Oh, I could just keep you here all day, GeraLynn, because it's like as soon as you say something, I'm like, okay, wait, there's more questions. It just means that we need to have you back for another cat conversation. Does that sound good to you?
I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
Certainly. Thank you. That's an honor.
Oh, absolutely. And you've got new videos coming out, new ways to help pet parents. Give out your website one more time and your social media so that we can all be following along with you.
You can go to @GeraLynn Cada or GeraLynnCada.com. You can also go to gcpetstyleoflife.com or gc_pet on social media. I don't have a personal social media. Everything on my social media is all about pets and their parents.
I love it. This has been the Cat Conversation. We'll see you again next time. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Cat Conversation. I'm KJ, your kitty correspondent, always happy to help you build that deeper bond you want with your cat. You can connect with me through KJ's Cat Club, go to kjscatclub.com. And if you enjoyed the conversation, leave a comment, give it a like, and make sure you subscribe to the Cat Conversation.